Hello dear friends, I'm here with the third part of the Ichimoku indicator training. I hope the previous two parts have been helpful and that you've been able to use them and learn the basics of Ichimoku. If you haven't watched those two parts yet, I recommend that you first go to the Ichimoku playlist on the channel, watch the first and second parts in order, and then come back to this third part so we can have a better understanding of this indicator and the Ichimoku trading system. In this part, I want to talk to you about the relationship between Tenkan-sen and Kijun-sen. As you can see in the image, I've reduced the thickness of the Chiku span so that it doesn't stand out too much in the picture and we can focus on Tenkan-sen and Kijun-sen. We'll see what relationship these two have, how they affect each other, and what insights we can gain from their interaction. Friends, look at these two lines as you observe them. Occasionally they get close to each other, like here. If I want to give an example, they form something similar to a triangular pattern, and at some point they intersect. We want to know what impact the intersection of these two lines has on the market and what it is trying to convey to us. But the crucial point is how they intersect. Look at a place like here where they overlap. After they intersect and separate, we see that one of them flattens out. Sometimes you'll see one of them intersecting the other with a steep slope, sometimes with a gentle slope. In some cases, for instance, the Kijun-sen flattens after intersecting. In other cases, it's the opposite. We want to see how they influence each other in different scenarios, what patterns we can observe, and what each of these patterns signifies. So we understand that today we want to learn about the impact of these two lines, Tenkan-sen and Kijun-sen, on each other. We want to see the various ways they intersect and how each type of intersection affects the market. We want to understand the relationship between these two lines. If you allow me, I can illustrate these better on paint, drawing the different possible scenarios, and then explain to you what each one means. Alright friends, the first scenario that might occur is like this. Our Kijun-sen looks something like this, and from the other side, the Tenkan-sen moves like this and intersects it here. They intersect each other like this. When this happens, we get a shape something like this. These two lines flatten out and then intersect each other this way. We need to pay attention to the market trend. In this scenario, whatever the trend is, it will reverse. If our candles are moving upwards, for instance, they will reverse and become bearish. If our trend was bearish and these lines intersect this way, the trend will reverse and become bullish. So, this is the first scenario where the Tenkan-sen and Kijun-sen intersect each other. When we see this happening, the existing trend will reverse. Alright, let's move on to the next scenario to see what might happen. Sometimes we see that our Kijun-sen line moves in a certain way, almost like this, and here the Tenkan-sen line comes and sharply intersects it at a steep angle upwards. In this case, when the Tenkan-sen line intersects the Kijun-sen line sharply and steeply from below, this gives us a bullish signal. This scenario indicates that the trend is going to be bullish. However, there is another possible scenario. It might be the opposite case. Suppose our Kijun-sen line moves like this and the Tenkan-sen line intersects it sharply downwards. This opposite scenario gives us a bearish signal, indicating that the trend will become bearish and we will see a price drop in the future. This is our third scenario. Keep these shapes in mind or draw them somewhere for yourself to better understand and always have them in view. Now, let's see what other scenarios might occur. Another scenario is when our Kijun-sen line moves like this. Imagine this is our Kijun-sen. The Tenkan-sen line comes up, flattens, and intersects it horizontally. continuing its trend. When we see a situation where the Tenkan-sen line flattens out and intersects the Kijun-sen line horizontally, this also gives us a bullish signal. However, this bullish move will be delayed compared to a scenario where the Tenkan-sen sharply intersects the Kijun-sen directly upwards. The key difference is that when the Tenkan-sen line flattens, the price increase takes some time to happen. You'll see and experience these scenarios on your charts, which is crucial. No matter how much I explain, you need to see and experience these yourself. Pay close attention to these patterns and draw them out so they're always in view. Observe and analyze these various shapes on your charts to understand them better. Another scenario is the opposite of this. Imagine the Kijun-sen flattens, and the Tenkan-sen intersects it from below. This also confirms a bullish signal, but because the Kijun-sen has flattened, the bullish move will be delayed. This means that even though the Tenkan-sen intersects the Kijun-sen from below, indicating a bullish signal, the flattening of either line indicates that the price increase will be delayed. Conversely, if the lines intersect from above to below, indicating a bearish signal, the flattening of the line would suggest that the price drop will be delayed. Okay, we have two more scenarios to cover. I'll draw these two together. Let's assume the lines move like this. One line moves in this manner and the other like this. Alternatively, their positions can be reversed with the red line here and the other line parallel, moving side by side without intersecting. No matter how close they get, since they don't cross, there is no signal generated. In these two scenarios, because they don't intersect, there is no signal. These cover almost all possible scenarios we might encounter on the chart. For instance, if you see the Tenkan-sen flatten out after intersecting, indicating a delayed response, or sharp intersections as explained, these patterns will be the same. For example, here the Tenkan-sen came in sharply and intersected, but then both lines flattened out, which I've explained earlier as indicating a delayed signal. In various places you might see these patterns. For instance, here, a sharp intersection from top to bottom. If you observe carefully, you'll see lines moving parallel without intersecting, meaning no signal was generated until they finally intersected and flattened, indicating a delayed and relatively weak signal. All the scenarios we've covered are these. You just need to identify these patterns on your chart and get used to recognizing them, understanding the signals they provide. But the crucial thing that needs to be explained on the chart is this. In all these scenarios, we must pay attention to the Kumo cloud. As I explained in the previous part, the Kumo cloud itself acts as a support and resistance zone. So we must be very precise. For instance, if you see the Tenkan-sen crossing the Kijun-sen from above, it gives a bearish signal. But if the Kumo cloud is below, it provides support. Trading based on this signal carries a lot of risk. We shouldn't trade in this situation. We should only trade when the Kumo cloud aligns with our signal. For example, if the Kumo cloud is below the candles and these two lines, we should look for a bullish signal. As you can see here, the lines intersected and moved upwards, resulting in a bullish trend. However, if the Kumo cloud is below, it supports the price and prevents significant downward movement. Conversely, if the Kumo cloud is above the candles, we should look for a bearish signal to avoid any interference with our trade. Here, the Kumo cloud is above, so we should be looking for a bearish signal and wait for it to occur. Another point about these two lines is that if the Kijun-sen flattens out and continues in a horizontal manner, like here, you can see the Kijun-sen has flattened and is moving straight. In such a scenario, the Tenkan-sen acts like a hook, pulling the candles towards the Kijun-sen. Whenever you see this situation where the Kijun-sen is flat and there is a distance from the candles, the Tenkan-sen will move the candles closer to the Kijun-sen. I hope you get what I mean. When the Kijun-sen flattens and there's a distance from the candles, whether above or below them, The Tenkan-sen's role is to pull the candles closer. As you can see here, the Tenkan-sen came close to the candles and gradually they moved closer to the Kijun-sen. Even if the Kijun-sen is above the candles, the same thing happens. Here it flattened and the Tenkan-sen moved down to bring the candles closer. It's like when this happens, we can expect the candles to move towards the Kijun-sen. The idea of the Tenkan-sen acting like a hook that pulls the candles towards the Kijun-sen is to help you visualize this movement better. Whenever the Kijun-sen flattens, you should expect the candles to move closer to it. For instance, when there's a large distance between the Kijun-sen and the candles, like here, the Tenkan-sen comes down to the candles and pulls them closer to the Kijun-sen. This creates a situation where they come together, even if you see a significant gap between the Kijun-sen and the candles. The Tenkan-sen's role is to bridge that gap, like a hook pulling them closer. You might think the candles won't come up, but instead the line comes down to meet them. I'm explaining it this way to make it more interesting and memorable for you. As you can see here, it's the same thing. The Tenkan-sen moves down, pulling the candles closer until they meet. So again, I emphasize that in all the scenarios I described about what happens when these two lines cross each other and their impact, you must always pay attention to the Kumo cloud. Friends, never trade inside the cloud. Secondly, always ensure the cloud aligns with your signal. If you get a bullish signal, the cloud should not be above, creating resistance, and conversely, if you get a bearish signal, the cloud should not be below, providing support, which could cause your trade to result in a loss. Alright, dear friends, we'll wrap up this section here. In the next part, I will explain the relationship between candles and the Tenkan-sen and Kijun-sen lines, as well as the relationship of these two lines with the Kumo cloud. We have a very important point and a quite interesting and exciting technique in the next video, which concerns a specific event that happens between these two lines and gives us a trend reversal signal. I will try to explain that in the next video, so don't miss the next video, which is the fourth part of the Ichimoku indicator training. You definitely need to watch it.
Dear friends, to make sure you don't miss any of our videos, please subscribe to the BS Academy channel. Also, activate the notification bell so that you are informed as soon as we publish new videos. Thank you for your support.